to say I told you so. But I told you so. Come on, bruh. This is insane. Listen, this is coming the morning after April 28th, when the Phoenix Suns were swept. Yes, swept. 4-zipped. No wins, 4 straight losses by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The final score of Game 4 was 122-116. And my goodness, there is so much to talk about today. Specifically about the Phoenix Suns. Specifically about what I've been telling y'all what was going to happen with this Phoenix Suns team. And before we get into the negativity, I want to start off with the positivity. I want to shout out the Minnesota Timberwolves because they worked their butt off to get to this point. This is a team that only had 10 national TV games throughout the whole season, despite having the second or third best record in the league. This is a team that a lot of people did not expect to be this good going into the season, but have proven all the doubters wrong. I want to shout out Rudy Gobert. I want to shout out Karl Anthony Towns. Shout out Karl Anthony Towns. This is a guy who we've been talking about as a disappointing player because of who he was supposed to be going into the league. This is a guy who we have been talking about as one of the worst playoff performers in recent memory. And in this big-time series, he was a very, very, very pivotal part as to why this team swept and beat the Phoenix Suns. Shout out to Jaden McDaniels. Shout out to Jaden McDaniels. I think he had a little bit of a coming out party in this series right here. Proved that he is one of the best defenders in the league, period, point blank, and can also provide you offensive value as well. Shout out Jaden McDaniels. Shout out to a guy like Naz Reid. Shout out to Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and shout out to Chris Finch, man. Shout out to Chris Finch. Shout out to Chris Finch. Because again, he is coach. This is a well-coached team. You see it with the way that they play. You see it with the way that they play defense, the way they hustle out there, the way they're connected out there. And that is not possible without Chris Finch. And speaking of Chris Finch, my goodness, that play at the end of the game, that was one of the scariest moments I've ever seen on a basketball court. I really hope Chris Finch is well. I really hope that he's going to be back for the next round. And if not, just get healthy, worry about your health. And 2, hopefully it doesn't disrupt Minnesota's momentum, because they do have a lot of momentum right now, especially after this win. And I know Chris Finch has been a big part of that success. And hopefully, if Chris Finch is not able to come back, that doesn't slow things down too much and doesn't change the course of the trajectory of the season for this team, because that was very, very unfortunate to see. I don't even want to play the blame game on anyone. That was just, hey, that was a freak accident in my opinion. Maybe I need to watch it back. I don't know. And how can I forget about Anthony Edwards, man? Jeez. Anthony Edwards last night specifically, in a game where D-Book at 49, matched it with his own 40, with his own 9 rebounds, with his own 6 assists, gave you a steal, gave you 2 blocks, and gave you clutch buckets, because in the fourth quarter alone, Anthony Edwards had 16 points. His 2 blocks came from this quarter, and he shot 6 of 7 from the field. Anthony Edwards is here. He is here to stay. He is one of the future superstars of this league. And shout out to the young players as well, man. It's time for a new generation. And these guys aren't asking for it. These guys aren't waiting for it. They are knocking the door down and snatching chains and taking souls. From SGA, Luka not last night, but Luka in the grand scheme of things, to a Victor Wembanyama, to an Anthony Edwards, to he's still young to me, to a Jason Tatum. They are snatching souls out here. They are here to tell y'all that we are the next generation and we are here to stay. They are here to tell y'all the game is in good hands. So shout out to these young players, but specifically in this video, shout out to Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is the American megastar that the NBA has been looking for over the last couple of years. I think there's two guys, maybe Cooper Flag come down the line. There's two guys really fighting for that next gen American throne right now. And maybe, hey, why can't two legends coexist? It's Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards. It was honestly supposed to be John Morant and Zion Williamson, and Ja can still get back in this conversation, don't get me wrong. But and honestly Zion can too. But I'm telling you right now, the NBA put a lot of stock in those two. Those two in year 4, year 5 haven't panned out to that mega stardom. But this guy right here, he got the pizzazz, he got the charisma, he got the off-court skills, he got the on-court skills, he's flashy, he's winning. Anthony Edwards, it's set up. It's set up for him. I think JT as well. I don't want to talk about him as much this video because this video is not about the Celtics. You already hear me talk about the Celtics enough. But Anthony Edwards, keep it up. Keep it up. But let's go to the Phoenix Suns, man. Let's go to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the biggest I told you so's of the season. This was the Titanic sinking from a mile away if you really knew what was up with this team. Because everything that I told y'all, every single thing that I was concerned about going into the season with this team came true. And then some. I'm going to be on, and then some. You might be asking BSOLZ why. Well, let's start off here. Let's start off with just the game itself. All right. Bradley Beal, you stink. Respectfully, I understand you can cook me right now if we roll the ball out. But you get paid $50 million to play basketball every single year on a yearly basis. That's your yearly salary. You were brought onto this team to be a part of a big three with Kevin Durant, with Devin Booker, and yourself. While I understand you might have not been fully healthy, while I understand we may have not been right to put those expectations on you, there is still a level of expectation that I do expect from you when you were out there. And after saying, well, I'll be damned if I get swept, that's not going to happen. For you to actually get swept and have 9 points on 4 of 13 shooting, 1 of 5 from the field, didn't get to the free throw line once, truly got outplayed by Eric Gordon. And mind you, Eric Gordon is a guy who had 6 points on 2 of 7 shooting. You might be asking why, and that is because Bradley Beal, in his 31 minutes of play, had 6 turnovers to go along with it and fouled out the game. So I would legitimately argue that Eric Gordon, on 6 points and 2 of 7 shooting, outplayed you. Bradley Beal, that was a sorry performance. And I'm gonna be honest with you, outside of Bradley Beal, the smoke really needs to be for the front office of this team. And honestly, the front office damn near only. Before we go on to that, I will say this. I think Devin Booker could have played better. Devin Booker was getting clamped up by Jaden McDaniels throughout this whole series. In this game, though, he played just fine. I ain't gonna lie. 49 points is insane. Kevin Durant could have played better, but I'm not gonna go as far as to say that he had a bad series. These are not bad numbers. The way Kevin Durant played was not bad. Was it dominant? No. Oh, mind you, these stats aren't updated, by the way. These are still the first 3 games of the series, but nevertheless, the averages should be roughly around the same. I think for a 36-year-old, year 17 Kevin Durant, I'm not about to hold everyone who is still good in year 17, year 18 to LeBron standards. Hell, even holding LeBron to those standards is kind of crazy. So I'm going to just say Kevin Durant had a good series. All the smoke for this team should be with the front office, and 90% with the front office only. What this front office tried to do was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Now you might be saying, BSOLZ, what about the coach? What about Coach Frank Vogel? There's so many reports coming out of this team mistrusting Frank Vogel. KD coming out saying he was misutilized. And while I will say this, I think no one on this team is excuse of accountability. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a stack. This organization, this front office tried to make a God-tier offense with a defensive-minded coach. Let's keep it a stack. Frank Vogel was not hired to be this Mike D'Antoni-ass dude. Ever since his days in Indiana, even when he won in LA, Frank Vogel's thing has been defense. So when you give a defensive coach who has made a living off of making elite defenses, and that has been his whole thing, no elite defensive threats, no elite defensive personnel, what do you think was gonna happen? And that's not to say they didn't have good defenders, because I think Nurkic is a good defender. I think Kevin Durant is a good defender. But I think y'all know what I mean when I say you hire a defensive coach, you would hope for an elite defense, but how are you going to make an elite defense without elite defensive weapons? Minnesota has elite defensive weapons. The Boston Celtics have elite defensive weapons. The Oklahoma City Thunder have elite defensive weapons. How are you going to make that when you don't have elite defensive weapons? And the best thing that you got going into the season is an injury-prone Yusuf Nurkic, who actually had the healthiest season of his career for a minute, which props to Nurkic. But going into the season, that's a crazy risk to take. And the backbone of your defense being that and Kevin Durant, who also going into the season, again, a crazy risk to take, had injury issues of himself. That's a dumb idea. You made a personnel whose vision was to outscore every team, who can get to 150 points more. And your coach is a defensive-minded coach who doesn't know what to do with that. And now you're about to sit here and tell me, now you're about to sit here and ask me to blame the coach? Nah, bruh. You didn't give him the personnel to actually give him a fair shot to do what he's good at. That was a bad idea. That was dumb. That was stupid. Also, y'all gaslit me this offseason, y'all. This past offseason. When I told y'all this team was going to have depth issues. When I told y'all this team did not have the proper role players to succeed in the playoffs. Y'all told me I didn't know ball because a guy like Chemezi Metu was on the team. Y'all told me I don't know ball because y'all told me Keita Bates Diop was about to be an important role player for this team. Y'all told me I didn't know ball because Yuta Watanabe was supposed to be a sharpshooter for this team. Y'all told me all of these things and gaslit me into thinking I didn't know ball because I personally thought these role players weren't moving the needle whatsoever in terms of this depth problem, because y'all wanted to sound smart and make it seem like this team didn't have a depth issue. And now here we are at the end of the season in the final game, and when Bradley Beal is having a stinker, when Kevin Durant is giving you 30, when Devin Booker is giving you 49, that still isn't enough, because now we're banking on Eric Gordon, who is, how old is Eric Gordon? Eric Gordon is 35 years old. Now you're banking on Eric Gordon to play 39 minutes and step up and turn back the clock like he's on the Clippers again. Now we're banking on Royce O'Neal. Now we're banking on Josh Okogie. Now we're banking on Nazir Little. We're banking on all of these dudes to step up. And mind you, I don't blame them. They shouldn't be asked to step up as the third option on a championship contender. That should not be the case. That should not be the case whatsoever. And I understand Grayson Allen didn't play all of this series, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this team. There was such a depth problem with this team that if one player goes down, the ship just sinks, because any one of KD, D-Book, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, or Grayson Allen falls down, oh my goodness, you're losing such an integral part of this team. And now the guys you have to step up, now you got to count on a Nazir Little and a Josh Okogie to step up and do things that they're not. It's just not their pay grade. And even if you want to continue to gaslight and cool, that's fine. They got the wrong role players at the very least. I was more optimistic with the whole point guard issue when it came to this team. A lot of people were saying, oh, this team doesn't have a point guard. This is dumb. This is stupid. I thought Devin Booker was just going to be fine. I was proven wrong on that part. Mind you, this is already a dude that wasn't so optimistic about this team, but was still optimistic in some areas. I was proven they needed a point guard. To not have a single point guard on your team for when the shit gets rough, to set the pace down, and to have a proper playmaker on the field is crazy. Not a single one. They had to sign Isaiah Thomas, who's been begging to be signed onto an NBA team, to even remotely have that on their team, which they didn't even play. Which, again, I don't blame you. I don't blame you in a playoff setting. But nevertheless, not having one is crazy. Not having truly a backup big, not having a proper backup power forward is crazy. Like, look at this 8-man rotation. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's why in this series, they got out-rebounded. And I don't know the stats historically, but it feels like historic fashion. When you let a team out-rebound you by damn near historical, honestly, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it felt historical. When you let that happen, it doesn't matter. Well, not that it doesn't matter, but the other team's offense not being top tier doesn't matter as much even when they make a mistake, they just get another offensive rebound and they can try again. Like, look at this, y'all. The Minnesota Timberwolves in the first 3 games averaged 47 rebounds a game. Ant was able to get you 8. Rudy Gobert was able to get you 13. Cat was getting you 9. Jaden McDaniels was getting you 6. Even Mike Conley was in there getting you 4 a game, roughly. On the other side, the Phoenix Suns was averaging 32 rebounds a game. That is a 15 rebound per game discrepancy on average for 3 games between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. And even if we look at this game, because I understand that's only the first 3 games, in this game alone, the trends didn't really, it still remained the same. The Minnesota Timberwolves had 44 rebounds. The Phoenix Suns had 33 rebounds. The Minnesota Timberwolves had 17 offensive rebounds, while the Phoenix Suns had 10. And the Phoenix Suns got out-rebounded by 11. So this discrepancy probably goes down to 13, 14, but that's still crazy. That's still a crazy discrepancy. I think we do this thing as NBA fans where it feels like any form of criticism is just hating. You just hating, man. You don't know what you're talking about. All of my criticism when it came to this team always came from the lens of a championship winning roster. From a team who had expectations of not only getting to the dance, but possibly winning it. Because when you combine D-Book, KD, and Bradley Beal on the same team with a championship coach and Frank Vogel, those are the expectations that you put on your squad. And every single criticism that I had wasn't directed to the regular season. Even though I actually thought they were going to be much better in the regular season. But nevertheless, that wasn't for the regular season. That wasn't even for the first round. For certain teams in the league, the regular season truly does not matter. The first, second round does not matter. It matters what is actually going to win them a championship or not. It matters what's going to be the thing that stops them from winning this ultimate goal. All of these concerns that I had when it came to this team winning a championship immediately popped up as soon as they faced a championship contender in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Listen, bro, I'm going to keep it a stack. This is not 2008 anymore. This is not 2011 anymore. We're just having 3 guys who can score 20-plus points per game on your team is enough to get you to the conference finals, if not an NBA finals berth. This is not that. The league is too talented at this point. Damn near every single playoff team has 3 dudes that can give you 20 on any given night. And what the Phoenix Suns tried to pull off was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen from a front office ever. And I want to shout out friend of the show, Click Productions, for saying this because, and shout out to Pierre too. He said, rest in peace to the super team era. Clippers are the last hope. And Click said, we finally in the super team era, not super few good players era. And I wholeheartedly agree. LeBron even said it in a recent podcast with JJ Redick. We are done with, oh my God, there's 3-star level play. No, bro, you got to fill out a team. You got to fill out a 7 to 8-man rotation that's solid for 48 minutes. The role players matter. How the stars fit. Let's start there. How the stars fit matters. How the player personnel is going to coexist with the coaching personnel matters. All of this matters. Also, quick sidebar, I want to apologize to Jaylen Brown real quick, man. Shout out Jaylen Brown. Because going into the season, I wanted Bradley Beal instead of you and Damian Lillard instead of you. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. I was wrong. I'll take that one to the chin and then some. You know what I'm saying? Pause. No diddy. So now that the season over, the question is, what do the Phoenix Suns do from here? Because for those who do not know, the Phoenix Suns do not have damn near any first-round draft picks for the next 5 years. Shout out to Eric Slater for laying everything out for us. The Suns have $194 million committed to these 7 players next season. The second apron is $189.5 million. After this year's draft, they will not own their first or second round pick until 2031. We are still in 2024, y'all. That is 7 years without owning their first round draft pick. They owe Bradley Beal $161 million over the next 3 seasons. Untenable would be putting it lightly. If the Phoenix Suns are fine just being first, second round exits for the next 3-4 years, however long KD wants to stay there, which by that point, I'm pretty sure KD is going to want out, D-Book is going to want out, Bradley Beal might just want to stay just because, I don't know. If they're fine with that, that's fine. But while KD is 35, 36 and still has a lot of value in this league, I would at the very least look into trading Kevin Durant. I would try to get off of Bradley Beal's contract as much as I can. And at the very least, if we're going to keep trying with Devin Booker, let's build a more well-rounded team. Let's build a defensive-minded team if we're also going to keep Frank Vogel. But also, I'll be honest, if Bradley Beal goes and KD goes and Devin Booker wants to go, I'm telling you right now, just not having a first-round draft pick for the next 5, 6, 7 years is just so crazy to me. I don't... Like, that's so hard to work with. And I would just hate to see Devin Booker waste prime years of his career being on mediocre, middle-of-the-pack teams in this Western Conference. I think ultimately what will happen, same thing with the Los Angeles Lakers, is that a lot of these teams are just stubborn. A lot of these teams aren't as smart as we think they are, and they're going to try to run it back. They're going to try to retool. They're going to probably try to fill out the roster a little bit better. In their minds, they're thinking, this is just the first year of Bradley Beal, KD, and D-Book, man. There's no need to overreact. We are not supposed to get it done in year 1, so let's just keep it going. They weren't even healthy this season. We didn't give this core a fair shot. And same thing with the Lakers. 365 days from now, we're going to sit here again and talk about these exact same conversations. But with that being said, appreciate y'all for getting me to 50,000 subs on my birthday too. We hit it on my birthday, man. That's big time right there. I appreciate y'all for all the love that y'all shown me throughout the years and currently speaking. And with that being said, I'll catch y'all on the next video, man. Peace.